What's up, everybody? So, new video, or new stuff at least. I got a few things from Condor. Now, quick little disclaimer before I get started. The things that I got aren't necessarily things that most people would deem necessary to have on their car. But I am one that does like a very crisp feel to their car, which is why I got what I got. So everybody knows what this is: clutch pedal assembly. Got the brake pedal, got the clutch pedal. At the top there are two bushings that'll go in here and here. Again, it's not anything that you're really going to notice, but those rubber bushings in there will slowly over time degrade, which will result in a little bit of side-to-side play on the pedals themselves. The ones that I got are from Condor. They are little Delrin bushings that will replace the ones here to kind of give it a little bit smoother of a travel feel and get rid of any sort of side-to-side play that may be there. I haven't used these yet, so I don't know if they're there. This is just a preemptive thing to kind of make sure I don't have to take this back out, essentially. I did get two other little things, both of which are a little bit more sought for, not necessarily sought for. Both of which are a little bit more understood that they are things that you would need to replace at some point. One being the stainless steel clutch pivot. Essentially, the one that's in there, I believe, is plastic, and everybody knows that over time that clutch pedal or that clutch pivot bushing is going to wear out, and you'll get a sloppy clutch feel. On top of that, keeping with the transmission, at the front of the shifter there are rubber bushings. I do know that these need to be replaced. The ones that are on the ZF transmission that I have, there is so much side-to-side feel that it is quite unacceptable. So again, Delrin pieces made by Condor to replace those worn-out bushings at the front. So I'm going to go ahead and get started taking these apart. I'll give you guys a little bit of not necessarily a step-by-step, but an overview of how to do this, or at least like what things you may do. But for the most part, I'm going to get this taken care of. I'm going to start with the clutch pedal assembly since I'm right here, and then we'll work on the transmission stuff. So yeah, let's get going. Alright, so let's get started with taking this guy apart. It is pretty straightforward and very simple. Only really need two tools to do it, or at least that I can see so far, and that is going to be a 10 mil to take off the clutch master, along with the little sensors and stuff, and then a flathead to get the retaining clips off so you can get the pedals to slide off. So I'm going to start with the clutch master. Ow. Make sure you don't hit your knuckles. And it is essentially just two 10 mils that hold the bracket on, that holds everything to the actual aluminum bracket, aluminum housing. I'm not sure what you want to call it. But yeah, you just loosen those up, take them out. I believe that they're two different sizes, so make sure that you pay attention to which one goes where. On the back side there will be a little captive nut. Make sure you don't lose that. Come on out. And then on the front, it'll essentially just be the nut will be on the sensor side, the little sensor bracket, essentially. You can see right there. They just pull out, front bolt. The back one seems to need to pull thread all the way out. Really hope that this isn't messing up any of the threading on. Pro tip: before you take that off, take the retaining clip for the clutch pedal and then just knock out the pin. Alright, so review. Take the retaining clip off of the clutch arm first. Then take the pin out of the pedal itself so you can get this loosened up. Then take the 10mm bolts off. Don't do what I just did. They are two different bolts. Front bolt only has a threading at the very tail end of it. The rear bolt is threaded all the way up and has a captive nut. So keep those separate, or at least in a place that you remember. Little tip that you can do, take pictures of everything. That way, in case you get to a point of putting everything back together and you forget what order they went in, you've got something to go off of. So yeah, next step normally would be to remove the spring off of the brake pedal. However, the one that I had just fell off whenever I took the bracket off, so don't need to worry about that. So the only things left holding everything on are the two retaining clips up at the top. Essentially, to do these, you just get a flathead in. There's a little opening on the back side of these. Whoa, don't drop my drink. There's a little opening right there. You just stick a flathead in and lift the top up, and then the retaining clip itself should just slide back. Retaining clip, and then the pedal just slides right off. So there's that. And then do the brake pedal side. There it goes. And then the brake pedal itself should just slide off as well. And leaving you with the housing itself. So I'm actually going to get this cleaned up real quick, spray it with some degreaser, get everything off, and then I'm going to actually paint this. So a little bit of YouTube magic. Next time you see this, it will be painted. So gold, just like the other pieces that are on the car, but it's all painted up and ready to go. It is only a light coating for the simple reason that you're not really going to see this anyway. It's going to be up underneath the dash, so just the simple fact that it is the color will give the vague view of, hey, someone did something that they didn't need to do. In any case, that is done. I opened up the packaging. Now what you get from Condor are two little Delrin bushings. They look pretty similar, however one of them looks like it has a little bit of knurling on the inside, and the other one does somewhat. It's a little bit finer, but one of them's got a little bit more of a beveled edge, the other one is a little bit straighter. I'm thinking that I may have messed up and only bought one set of these when I should have bought two, because there are two bushings, I'll just show you. So this is a clutch pedal. There's an inner and an outer that could be replaced if need be. And seeing as I only have one set, can't really replace both. So I'm going to replace one per pedal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually replace the outside one. To explain my thinking on this one, it doesn't really matter which, if I do the inside or the outside. However, the inside will have the wall of the pedal assembly to kind of keep everything from moving. Essentially, it'll restrict the play. The outside just has the the retaining clips. So my train of thought is give the least amount of, essentially the side that has the least amount of resistance to give that extra little bit of support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the outside one of both the brake pedal and the clutch pedal. I'm going to double check that they're both the same size, you know. The inners are, the outers, not too sure, but got to double check. But essentially, the outside of this one, the outside of this one, pop in the new bushings and then put everything back together. And we should have a pretty stiff pedal assembly. Again, it's not that you really need this, it's just something that I want for a crisper feel. So I'm going to get these knocked out and then I'll be back with you guys. And voila, got both of them in. Getting them out is pretty straightforward. They do have a little slit in them to get them in and out a little bit easier. At least the old ones, the OEM ones do. They're just essentially like a hard plastic, and you can see there's like a little bit of a groove where there's sort of like an extra bit of pressure. The installation of them is essentially just hammer them in with a dead blow, and then you should be good to go. So I'm going to slap these guys back on, get the retaining pins back in, and then we will move on to the transmission stuff. So be back with you guys in just a second. And boom, just like that, everything back together. Well, aside from the spring doesn't really want to stay in place without the tension of the brake fork, so it's back together. Note this spring right here, this whole clutch pedal, it will lock into place. It will, so it'll make things easier, like getting the clutch master, which I do plan on replacing. This one, I don't know the condition of this one, so this one is just in for holding everything together purposes. But this clutch pedal pushes all the way down to make sure that you can get that lined up, as well as make sure that everything stays in place, because the bottom of it is just sort of like a pin held in by pressure. Pro tip, get your fingers out of the way. I didn't realize it locked in place when I went to go push it down, and just smashed my thumb. So don't do that, it hurts. But in any case, this is for the most part done. Everything's in place, all the sensors with all the little beeping buttons are good to go. So gonna set this to the side, and I'm going to head out to the transmission, which is underneath my car right now, and see what it'll take to get these guys replaced. Alright, so got the old one out, and this is definitely a necessary thing, at least in my case. I'm sure if you have a transmission that's been in your car for a while, you've probably noticed that it's probably something you should do too. This is the old bushing. As you can see, it's pretty deteriorated. And at one point it was just like a urethane rubber type deal, but now it's like this weird mixture of like plastic and like goop. That's the only way I can describe it, because it's like both soft and hard at the same time. With a bunch of play in it. I essentially just jabbed this screwdriver in there and like cut it up a bit, and it just slid right out. So that's not the way it should be. Good thing we have these Delrin ones from, like I said, Condor. They make these for both like the Gertrag, however you say that, and the ZF transmission. The Gertrag, if that is how you pronounce it, is a round bushing. This one, as you can see, is an oval. Don't ask me why they're different. Obviously they're different transmissions, but it seems kind of dumb to have two different bushings for the same part. But Germans are weird, man. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to pop this in. It is a two-piece, so one side's going to slide in on one side, the other side's going to slide over the top of the other side, and then the retaining clip just goes right back in. So let's get this in and then check how the pedal feel, or the shifter feels after that. So alright, so that was an absolute night and like, I'm not exaggerating when I say this is a night and day difference between the two. Before, I mean, there was so much slop in it. Now, zero play in that bushing. It is so refined right now. The only movement that is here is the actual shifter itself. Everything else is in place and solid. So that I am beyond stoked on. That is awesome. So the only thing that's left that I got in that little care package essentially from Condor is the little pivot bushing. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to wait until I do the flywheel, the clutch flywheel essentially, because I'll be doing the throwout bearing anyway, so all of that will be taken apart. So I'm just going to do that all in one full swing whenever I get that taken care of. Essentially the only thing that's holding me up from doing that right now is the rear main seal on the engine itself, and then I should get a new starter. Both of them that I have, both the one that came in the car and the one that came with the engine, should be good. However, because you have to take the intake manifold off when it's in the car, I don't really want to do that, and my luck with starters is not that great, so I'm potentially going to be doing that. I don't know yet. I should. But those are the only things that are holding me up from throwing these two together and throwing it in the engine bay. I am getting some Condor engine mounts, so those are on the way. And then the rear main seal. So I've got to get those before I can bolt the two together. And then I'll look at a starter, and then everything should be thrown in there. I can hook everything back up, and then from there can wire everything back up, and I can make sure that everything starts, and then I can worry about the cooling stuff, and then I can get a drive shaft because I still need to do that, then I can drive it. So sounds like it's both. It sounds like it's both simultaneously a lot and not a lot at the same time. I'm just ready to drive it, so I'm getting pretty stoked. In any case, that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I will see you guys on the next one. Like I said, I'm working on trying to figure out stuff that I can do in the time of me waiting on parts. But yeah, thank you guys for being patient. And to those of you that do watch this, thank you guys again. But I will see you guys next time. So, see ya.